Hello there. This could bring civil unrest or worse to the UK should the human rights lawyers instructed by the terrorist organisation Hamas get their way. Hamas is using UK human rights laws and the ECHR against us to overturn the ban on it operating or being supported in the UK. Right now, Hamas has been a banned or proscribed organisation in the UK since 2021, where being a member of it or supporting it could lead to imprisonment. Were that ban to be lifted, we would see official Hamas offices springing up in major cities across the UK, fundraising for their next atrocities and legally being able to spew their anti-Semitic bile out into our country. And you just know their emblem for use in the UK would be a paraglider. And if they are successful, the floodgates would be open to all those other organisations banned from the UK to follow suit. And I wouldn't be surprised to see all UK MPs banned from entering Israel as a result. Hamas must now believe it has enough support, political support, activist support, and potentially the violent muscle to really cause an upheaval in this country. The time to act is now. The time to leave any international treaty that ties us into this travesty is now, today. But the real big question is, will this Labour government, whose fondness for a certain preferred demographic, have the vitamins to slap this ludicrous down? In the face of all those pro-Hamas MPs it has on the backbenches who would vote the Hamas ban down in a heartbeat. Or will ministers decide they'll just dump it in the laps of the woke judges and ultimately the European Courts of Human Rights to make the rulings? And then limply say there's nothing they can do because they have to abide by international law and so are forced to remove Hamas from the proscribed list. But it gets worse. Labour will soon be putting forward their plans for a one-sided, one-religion-only blasphemy law. And I'm not referring to Christianity here. And at that stage, even criticising Hamas operations within the UK would be regarded by the courts as a phobia. Any attempt to brand Hamas as a terrorist organisation or even criticising their attempt to slaughter Jews would then be deemed as a hate crime. And please bear in mind that despite the worrying levels of crime and building 14,000 new prison spaces, the government is still hatching plans to reduce the mostly male prison population by 10% over the next couple of years. And while Tommy Robinson languishes in solitary, high-risk offenders are being sent to open prisons when they shouldn't be for capacity reasons, reports Sky News. They are freeing up prison spaces for a reason. Further, as a political organisation, one wonders if Hamas would start openly funding pro-Hamas, pro-Palestine and probably selected Labour politicians, or even standing their own candidates. The project to turn the UK into a Middle Eastern battleground would then be complete. The next rocket attack on Israel, which continued to this day, but unreported in the Western media by the way, would be funded by money openly and legally collected here in the UK. And much of that crowd-funded money would end up funding the lifestyles of the Hamas top brass in places like Qatar. But Fahad Ansari, the director of the niche immigration and nationality law practice Riverway Law, has submitted a 106-page legal application to the Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, to have that Hamas ban lifted. On the basis, the law firm claims, that Hamas is no threat to the UK and its citizens, and also that the ban unlawfully restricts the freedom of expression of Hamas supporters. Further, they claim that Hamas is not terrorist. They claim it is a resistance organisation, resisting a genocide against them by Israel. Riverway law. Wonder if that's the same river. Oh, and if Fahad Ansari's X account is anything to go by, it shows exactly where his loyalties lie. And don't get all hot-headed and think about going to the offices of those lawyers in Empire Mews to protest. That will be met by the full force of the UK law, riot gear, tasers, pepper spray, dogs and horses, all the way. No kid gloves for you in Sadiq Khan's London. Now, the head of international relations for Hamas, Musa Abu Marzouk, has produced a witness statement for this application, saying that Hamas is a Palestinian Islamic liberation and resistance movement whose goal is to liberate Palestine and confront the Zionist project, while trying to reiterate that Hamas is no threat to the UK. He also said, "The British government's decision to proscribe Hamas is an unjust one that is symptomatic of its unwavering support for Zionism, apartheid, occupation and ethnic cleansing in Palestine for over a century. Hamas does not and never has posed a threat to Britain, despite the latter's ongoing complicity in the genocide of our people. And these people made the attempt to wipe Israel off the face of the map in 1948 and drive the Jews into the Mediterranean. And also today, Hamas supporters parade through London just about every week and shout about from the river to the sea, knowing full well what that would entail. There's one thing lefties are very good at: accusing others of doing what they are already doing or are planning on doing. Now, it was Tory MP Priti Patel who banned Hamas when she was Home Secretary, and now that she's the shadow Foreign Secretary, her reply to this pro-terrorist lawfare is: those campaigning to end the proscription of Hamas fail to understand the seriousness of the threats and danger this terrorist organisation poses. I wonder if they do fail to recognise the seriousness of those threats." And the Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick said, "It's sickening that a UK law firm thinks there are arguments for their ban to be lifted. It comes as no surprise this firm specialises in immigration cases. But who's bothering to listen to the Tories? The reason we're here in broken Britain on so many fronts is because of the open borders, anti-UK policies of decades-long rule by the Tories, Labour and the Tory Lib Dem coalition of failure. At the end of the day, no UK patriot should ever trust a politician of a political party that is not unequivocally for leaving the ECHR and associated minority rights organisations. Finally, please like, subscribe and comment below, and a big shout out to our Patreon supporters, and thank you for watching."